Hello Facebook and YouTube friends. Thank you for joining me in a new vlog. This particular vlog I will be reviewing music for my music collection, and today I will be reviewing one of the more unusual records, or this is actually a CD that I've owned for a while. I bought it in the early 90s. I think I bought it in I think 94, and this is Nurse with Wound, Chance Meeting on a Dissecting Table of a Sewing Machine and an Umbrella. And I learned about them just from seeing a short blurb about them in Request magazine. They just posted a short blurb about Nurse with Wound. It was just a little thumbnail on the side of one of the pages about them saying basically, check out this group. They've been making records for a long time and they're unusual. So anyway, that is the album cover. One of my favorite images on the album though is when you turn it around and you look at the back. There is a image of a man in agony sitting in a chair, and in front of him it looks like there's lots of real angular industrial type of construction going on. And then you can also see it looks like the skins of people. I don't know if you look really close, especially over here, it looks like a man has been skinned and his skin is hanging on the wall next to him. So that's a pretty interesting image. I like that image. It's kind of unnerving. Also, when you open it up, there is a picture of, I think is Stephen Stapleton. I don't know. Stephen Stapleton, by the way, is Nurse with Wound. Nurse with Wound is his project. And I've seen pictures of him, and that doesn't quite look like him. But again, it's all torn up and pieced together, so I'm not sure if that's him or somebody else. And if you read the liner notes, it's kind of interesting. At the top it says, categories strain, crack, and sometimes break under their burden. Step out of the space provided. And when you're listening to this record, you're definitely stepping out of the space provided. It also came with an insert, World Serpent Distribution insert. That's the name of the record label that put this CD out. I don't see a date. The recording is from 1979, but I don't see a date when this CD was made. Since it came out, there is a special edition that has come out, and this just lists a lot of the other albums and things that World Serpent put out. The CD has the classic Nurse with Wound drawing on it. The nurse is actually a bondage dominatrix. You can see she's wearing bondage boots. And then if you look at the back, there's an amalgamation of all kinds of things that Stephen Stapleton put together. Looks like a big crow's head, a Nosferatu looking vampire. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell what all is there. It looks very bleak and dark and dreary looking. Now this album is not something that you want to listen to if you like pop music exclusively, if you're used to the instant gratification of that you're usually given when you turn the radio on. You know, in the first few seconds of the song, if they don't interest people usually skip past the song and don't want to hear it. That's the kind of culture, the pop culture that we're living in. And if that is something that you're used to, this album, you're probably not going to survive this album. This isn't for mainstream tastes out there. It's going to be hard to listen to. It is pretty much experimental noise. And it consists of just 3 songs. The first song is called Two Mock Projections. The second song is called The 6 Buttons of Sex Appeal. And the last song is The 6 Capsules of Embroidered Cellophane. The first track, Two Mock Projections, it starts off with 2 electric guitar tracks. One of them is playing a melodic, kind of a melodic, ecstatic guitar solo, and it's layered on top of another guitar track that is very plucky, very scratchy. Um, there's lots of echo effects on the guitar, and it also sounds like there may be a harmonium organ playing at the same time. It sounds like a deep bass hum coming from something like a harmonium organ. But it's very atmospheric and very foggy sounding. It sounds like you've just stepped into something, like you've stepped into a place where you shouldn't be. And it sets the tone for the whole album. It's a very spooky kind of a bad feeling. It puts a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach when I listen to it. But it's good to listen to because it's even though it gives me kind of a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, it's pop culture is based on always giving people what they want, and sometimes giving people what they want isn't always the best thing. Sometimes you need to be exposed to something you don't want, and Nurse with Wound exemplifies that. The second track is my favorite. The first track, by the way, is 6 minutes and 20 seconds long. And if you survive that, then the second track starts, The 6 Buttons of Sex Appeal, which is 13 minutes and 13 seconds long, and that one is quite a ride. It conveys to me kind of a merry-go-round ride that is going crazy. It's spinning faster and faster, and people are flying off. It starts off with very scratchy guitar playing. There's also what sounds like the rhythm section from, the old the old Hammond organs from the 70s, the electronic organs from the 70s. They had all kinds of buttons all over them, and particularly in the middle there was usually a array of buttons that you could press and create different rhythm sections. There would be usually a marching beat or a samba beat, all kinds of different rhythms that you could choose from, and then there would usually be a slider where you can change the tempo. And it sounds like he's playing the rhythm section from off of one of those old Hammond organs from the 70s, and it also sounds like he's going crazy pressing a lot of the buttons, causing the rhythm to change up quite a bit, and he's also playing with the slider, making the tempo speed up. In the middle of the song he starts to moan and scream, pounding weird noises that sound like air being blown through water, maybe, or it could just be a drum track that is being played on a tape that's sped up, but it's a very strange kind of a noise. It's hard to explain what it is. The guitar playing, the scratchy guitar playing, is very relentless. It's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of conveys to me somebody scratching your back until it bleeds. It's pretty unnerving, and again, if you're into pop music and being instantly gratified and being given what you want with music, particularly radio music, you won't survive this track. This last track on the album, I think it was the 6 Capsules of Embroidered Cellophane. That's the longest track on the album. It's about 27 minutes long, and to me it kind of conveys ghosts in the attic, finding things up in the attic and banging on them, scraping them together. It starts off with guitar, more scratchy guitar, and what sounds like a harmonium organ again, maybe a concertina, kind of an accordion or concertina sound. There's also a piano playing glissandos and shattered chords that just sound atmospheric. It's non-melodic, it's just atmospheric. There's also what sounds like wood or metal objects being scraped together slowly. Later on in the song it sounds like somebody is scratching their fingers across the head of a tom-tom drum. There's also a recording of a girl speaking in French. It sounds like a metal triangle is being beat on. Later on in the track too, it sounds like there is a circular saw that is being turned on, and maybe even there's some wood being cut by the saw. Towards the end of the song, it sounds like there might be a flute playing, and the metal objects being scraped together get faster and faster, and then it finally ends. Overall, the album, again, it's very cacophonous, it's very chaotic. It's something that definitely goes against the grain of pop music. He isn't giving you what you want, he's giving you something he thinks you need. Stephen Stapleton is, anyway. At least that's my take on it. The whole bondage thing, my take on the album cover art is, one thing I learned about noise music, the first time I listened to some noise albums, it was hard for me to make it all the way through. And I realized that when I relaxed and I stopped projecting what I wanted from music onto the album, I was able to survive it and actually enjoy it. If you just submit to whoever's making the record, in this case it's Stephen Stapleton, if you just let go and let the creator take you where they're going to take you, you'll survive and you'll enjoy the record. That's what you have to do in order to enjoy a noise record. And this is a good noise record. You can tell that Stephen Stapleton is an accomplished musician. The way that he plays, you can tell that he's not just making noise. He's experimenting, and he's good at what he does. And this is one of the better noise albums that exist. I've heard a lot, and a lot of it's kind of boring. And Stephen Stapleton, he's genuine. It doesn't come off to me as pretentious. It might come off that way to some people, but Stephen's style is I believe is very genuine. He's not trying to be spooky or goth or anything like that. He's just doing what he does, and if it's spooky, it just happens to be spooky. And when I bought this record, I was so tired of music in general. I really love music, and I just needed to hear something different. And I was just desperate to hear something different. I paid quite a bit for this record. This record, it costed about, I think I remember spending between $20 and $25 for it, because it's kind of a hard to find record. It's been discontinued now. But like I said, there is a special edition that's available on Amazon. Or also check out Isolation Tank. That's a record store, I believe they're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And they've been selling noise / industrial / experimental music for years, decades now, and they're quite good at stocking hard to find stuff, maybe even some stuff that you can't find on Amazon. So go to isotank.com if you're interested in that. I'm not being sponsored by them or anything, but that's that's a record store that I relied on before Amazon existed. I went there to find new things, and I had no idea what this record would sound like. When I read that it was a noise record, I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't really know what to expect, and the first time I heard it, I didn't care for it. Alright, thanks for joining me on this music review. I plan on doing a lot more, and I hope that you found it interesting.